Chapter 1, Little Wheels in the Heat. The June sun in Texas poured down like a blanket of fire, scorching everything along the dusty red road leading into the trailer park of Willow Creek, a small town 30 miles outside Austin. The cicadas screeched endlessly from the dry bushes, blending with the whirring sound of an old fan struggling in trailer number 17, where Max and Milo, 8-year-old twin boys, sat cross-legged on the peeling wooden floor. The thin aluminum walls of the home shook with each passing gust, revealing cracks and patches of faded paint. Outside, a few broken toys, a bike with a missing wheel, some decapitated plastic animals, lay scattered across the sunburned lawn. Max, with deep brown eyes and a mop of unruly curls, was carefully wiping a red toy car with a ragged cloth. The car, a birthday gift from 3 years ago, had once been the pride of the two boys. Its 4 plastic wheels were now worn thin, and the red paint was chipped, exposing dull gray patches beneath. Milo, the younger twin by a few minutes, sat beside him with a timid smile, clutching an old science book to his chest. "Max," Milo whispered, his voice trembling, "I don't want to sell it. Mom's going to be so sad if she finds out." Max paused, glancing at his little brother. He knew Milo was right. Their mother, Lily, had been bedridden with chronic lung disease for the past 2 years. From the corner of the room, her labored breaths mingled with the soft hum of the oxygen machine, the only thing keeping her awake these days. But the electric bill was 3 weeks overdue, and that morning, a red notice from the power company had been taped to their door. Electricity will be disconnected if not paid by Friday. Today was Wednesday. "Mom won't be sad, Milo," Max said, trying to sound firm despite the heaviness in his chest. "She needs the machine. If we sell the car, we can keep the lights on for her." Milo nodded slowly, his eyes red and watery. Max stood, pulling the toy car from the corner. He tore a piece of paper from an old notebook and scrawled a message in pencil. "Please love it like I did. I need to keep the lights on for my mom." He taped it carefully to the car's frame, checking to make sure it wouldn't fall off. Together, the boys pushed the toy car toward the main road of town, where a small grocery store and a gas station were the only signs of commerce Willow Creek had. The heat shimmered off the asphalt in waves. Max set up a handwritten sign, "Toy car for sale, $5. Milo sat down on the curb, holding his book like a shield. Time passed slowly. A few dusty old pickup trucks rolled by, kicking up clouds of red dust. Mrs. Jenkins, the grocery store clerk, waved but shook her head when Max pointed to the car. "We really need the money, ma'am," Max called. She only offered a sad smile. Everyone in town was struggling. Even $5 wasn't pocket change here. By midday, with the heat making Milo yawn and sweat beat on Max's brow, a strange sound cut through the air. A smooth hum, nothing like the grumbling trucks of the town. A sleek black Tesla glided down the dirt road, glinting under the sun. Max and Milo's eyes widened. Cars like that belonged in Austin, driven by tech billionaires and men in glass towers. In Willow Creek, it might as well have been a spaceship. The car came to a stop in front of them. The window rolled down, revealing a man in a gray suit, his black hair neatly combed and eyes cold as stone. Dominic Blackwell, though the boys didn't know his name, looked at the toy car with mild confusion. "You kids selling this?" he asked, his voice low and flat. Max swallowed hard and straightened up. "Yes, sir. Just $5. It's still really good." He pointed to the car and forced a smile. Dominic stepped out, his polished leather shoes crunching on red dust. He crouched to inspect the car, narrowing his eyes at the note taped to it. He skimmed the words, and for a fleeting second, something flickered in his gaze, an emotion even he couldn't name. But the expression vanished as quickly as it came. "I'll take it," Dominic said, pulling a leather wallet from his jacket. He handed Max a crisp $20 bill, 4 times the asking price. "Keep the change." Milo jumped to his feet, mouth agape. "Really, sir? Thank you." He ran over and hugged Max, forgetting his usual shyness. Max stared at the bill, his hands trembling. With this, they could pay the electric bill, and maybe even buy a few groceries for their mom. Dominic said nothing. He picked up the toy car and placed it gently into the Tesla's trunk. His eyes flicked over the boys one last time, landing on Max's face, a face that stirred something strange in him, like looking in a mirror from a long-lost childhood. but he shook it off. Just coincidence, he told himself. Take care, he said simply, then got into his car. The Tesla glided away, leaving behind a trail of red dust and two stunned boys on the roadside. Max clutched the $20 bill and turned to Milo. We did it, Milo. Mom's going to be okay. Milo nodded, but his eyes followed the disappearing car. Max, that man, he looked really sad, didn't he? Max shrugged, trying not to think too much. He's rich. Rich people don't get sad. But even as he said it, something heavy settled in his chest, like the note taped to the toy car wasn't just for a stranger, but for them too. Back in the trailer, the oxygen machine hummed on, weak but steady. Max and Milo ran home, hope fluttering in their chests with the $20 bill clutched tight in hand. They had no idea that in Austin, the little red toy car sat quietly in the trunk of Dominic's Tesla. And Max's message was about to change everything. You're watching Soul Stories, where every tale whispers of love, healing, and hope. If you believe that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life, and that love often arrives when we least expect it, don't forget to subscribe and be part of our journey. Now stay with us. The story is just beginning. Chapter 2, Dominic Blackwell and the Childish Note. The Austin skyline shimmered under neon lights as Dominic Blackwell drove his sleek black Tesla through the buzzing streets of downtown. At 38, he was one of the youngest tech CEOs in Texas, the mind behind a multi-billion-dollar AI startup. His ultra-modern mansion perched atop Westlake Hills, featuring floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering waters of Lake Travis. But tonight, stepping into the cold, marble-floored home adorned with abstract paintings worth millions, Dominic felt only emptiness. The night before, he had attended a Tesla event in downtown Austin, where investors and engineers gathered to discuss the future of electric vehicles and artificial intelligence. Dressed in a tailored gray suit, Dominic had shaken hands, smiled, and said all the right things. But when the stage lights dimmed, he stood alone with a glass of whiskey, staring through the crowd without really seeing anyone. His divorce from Vanessa, his ex-wife, had been finalized 3 months ago, leaving him with a massive bank account and a hollow heart. He once thought money and power would fill the void, but now they felt like the windows of his home, transparent, cold, and fragile. Loosening his tie, Dominic sank into the leather chair in the living room. He reached for the remote, but his eyes drifted toward the Tesla's trunk, which he had left open after returning from Willow Creek. There, the small red toy car, an odd purchase from 2 boys that morning, sat beside his travel bag. He frowned, wondering why he'd stopped in that dusty little town to buy something so trivial. But something about those boys, their bright eyes shadowed with worry, the trembling voice of the younger one, had stopped him from driving away. He stood and walked to the garage. Under the stark white LED lights, he picked up the toy car. The red paint had faded, and the plastic wheels clacked as he rolled them. Then he noticed the note taped to the side. The handwriting was wobbly, the pencil strokes uneven, clearly written by a shaky little hand. Please love it like I did. I need to keep the lights on for my mom. Dominic read it again, and again. A strange sensation stirred in his chest. The message was simple, but it pierced something deep within him, something he had locked away for years. Keep the lights on for my mom, he murmured aloud, as if saying it would help him understand why those words made his heart ache. But it wasn't just the note that unsettled him. It was their faces. The older boy with curly hair and deep brown eyes looked familiar, and the younger one, with his shy smile, reminded Dominic of someone he used to love, Lily Martinez. The way they tilted their heads, the way their eyes lit up when they talked about their mom. It was just like Lily in the old days. But how could that be? Lily had disappeared from his life 9 years ago, and he hadn't heard from her since. Dominic carried the toy car inside and placed it on the walnut dining table. He sat down, opened his laptop, and began to type Willow Creek. But instead of pressing enter, he just stared at the note, his fingers unconsciously tracing the yellowing tape. The image of the 2 boys under the scorching sun, red dust clinging to their shoes, wouldn't leave his mind. And then, like a ghost rising from the past, memories of Lily came flooding back. Lily Martinez, the woman he'd loved 9 years ago, when he was still a scrappy startup engineer with dreams far bigger than his wallet. She had warm brown eyes, a smile that melted every ounce of stress, and a voice soft as the Texas wind at sunset. They had dreamed of a future together, a small house in the suburbs of Austin, a family, quiet evenings with BBQ in the backyard. But just when his company took off, Lily vanished. No goodbye, no letter. He searched for 6 months, called her, drove to her old apartment in East Austin, but she had evaporated. Eventually, he convinced himself she had left for money, or for another man. Hurt, he buried her memory beneath million-dollar deals and city lights. But tonight, that note and those boys brought Lily back. So vividly, it was as if she were standing right in front of him. He remembered how she tucked her hair behind her ear, how she laughed at his dumb jokes. Then he thought of the older boy, Max he had called himself, with eyes identical to Lily's, and the younger one, with that bashful smile he'd seen on Lily's face when she was anxious. "It can't be," he whispered, shaking his head, but the thought clung to him, like the red dust of Willow Creek stuck to his leather shoes. Dominic got up and walked out to the balcony. The night breeze carried the scent of dry grass and distant asphalt. He looked out at Lake Travis, where the moonlight danced like a silent reminder of his loneliness. He thought about the message. "Please love it like I did." It wasn't just a child's plea. It was a reminder of something he'd lost. Not money or power, but a heart that once knew how to love unconditionally. He went back inside, grabbed his phone, and texted his assistant, Clara. "Find information on a town called Willow Creek, about 30 miles from Austin, especially the trailer park. I want to know about a family with twin boys around 8 years old. The mother's name might be Lily." He hit send and set the phone down, his gaze returning to the toy car. What Dominic didn't know was that back in Willow Creek, Max and Milo were sitting beside their mother in a darkened trailer, the flickering flame of a single candle casting soft shadows on Lily's face. They had paid the electric bill, but the boys' joy was muted by their mother's weak breathing. And in Austin, a tiny note written by Max had planted a seed in Dominic's heart, one that would soon grow, pulling him back to a past he thought was long gone, and changing everything. Chapter 3. The Past Never Forgets. Morning sunlight filtered through the glass windows of Dominic Blackwell's mansion, casting a golden glow on the red toy car, resting on the walnut dining table. In Austin, mornings usually began with birdsong and the smell of coffee drifting from corner cafes. But in the sleek home on Westlake Hills, silence reigned. Dominic sat in a leather chair, his espresso cold beside him, his eyes locked on the note taped to the toy car. "Please love it like I did. I need to keep the lights on for my mom." He hadn't slept the night before. Images of the two boys from Willow Creek haunted him. Max with those deep brown eyes and Milo with his shy smile. But more than that, the haunting resemblance they bore to Lily Martinez, the woman he once loved, had pierced something in his chest. 9 years ago, Dominic was a 29-year-old startup engineer, living in a small apartment in East Austin. He worked around the clock in a converted warehouse, where he and 3 friends were building an idea that would become an AI revolution. Lily, a barista at a local cafe, had entered his life like an autumn breeze. She had long black hair, warm brown eyes, and a smile that could melt away every burden. They met when Dominic, exhausted after a long night of coding, ordered a black coffee and received a note from Lily that read, "Keep going, engineer. The world's waiting for you." Their love bloomed quickly like wildflowers along a Texas highway. Dominic and Lily spent evenings walking along the Colorado River, eating tacos from street vendors, and dreaming about a simple future. "A small house, a garden, and 2 kids running around," Lily had once said, her hand wrapped in his. Dominic had promised her everything, but deep down, he knew his dreams were bigger. He wanted to change the world, and his company was the key. In 2016, Dominic's startup received its first investment, enough to rent office space and hire a team. He began working relentlessly, often sleeping in the warehouse and missing dates with Lily. Still, she supported him, bringing coffee to the office and leaving encouraging notes. But as the company took off, so did the pressure, from investors, from the media. One night, Dominic returned to their apartment to find Lily gone. No note, no call. Her phone was out of service. Her apartment in East Austin, empty. He searched for 6 months, asking friends, visiting her old cafe, but no one knew where she had gone. Eventually, he stumbled across a tabloid speculating that he was engaged to an investor's daughter. A false rumor. Convinced that Lily had seen the story, believed it, and left, hurt and betrayed, he told himself she had walked away for money or for someone else. Broken, he buried their love beneath million-dollar contracts and city lights. What Dominic didn't know was that when Lily disappeared, she was pregnant with his twin sons. Afraid of being a burden on his rising career and wounded by the engagement rumors, she chose to vanish, starting over in Willow Creek. But that truth remained hidden. And now in the morning light of his mansion, Dominic had nothing but memories and a gnawing suspicion. He rose, grabbed his phone, and called his assistant. "Clara, I need you to do something extra for me. Find a private investigator, discreet and reliable. I want information on the toy car I bought in Willow Creek. Who sold it, who their family is, and anything you can find about a woman named Lily Martinez." Clara, used to his unusual request, replied calmly, "I'll take care of it, sir." Dominic returned to the table, his fingers grazing the worn tape on the note. He thought of Max, the boy with curls and those painfully familiar eyes, and Milo, with that timid smile he remembered so well on Lily's face when she was anxious. "It can't be," he whispered, but the thought clung to him. If Lily really was in Willow Creek, why hadn't she reached out? And if those boys were hers, why were they living in poverty, selling toys to keep the lights on? He opened his laptop and searched for Willow Creek. A small town with fewer than 2,000 people, it had only a grocery store, a church, and an aging trailer park. Articles described it as forgotten, its people living on welfare and seasonal work. Dominic imagined the boys again, standing under the burning sun, dust clinging to their worn shoes, and something in him tightened. He wasn't used to feeling this way, helpless, curious, and being dragged back into a past he had tried to erase. His phone buzzed. A message from Clara. "Investigator accepted the job. Preliminary report in 24 hours. Want me to schedule a trip to Willow Creek?" Dominic hesitated. He wanted to go himself, but his instincts told him to wait. He replied, "Not yet. Just gather information for now." He stood and walked out to the balcony. The wind carried the scent of dry grass and asphalt, reminding him of the days he and Lily drove through the outskirts, the radio playing country tunes. He remembered how she sang along, off-key but full of feeling. "Someday I'll write a song for you," he had once promised her. He never did. And then she was gone. Dominic looked out at Lake Travis, where the sunlight danced like a reminder of everything he had lost. The toy car, the note, and the image of the two boys weren't just coincidences. They were a doorway, one leading straight back to a past he thought he had buried, but had never truly forgotten. Back in Willow Creek, Max and Milo were helping their mother mop the trailer floor, the steady sound of Lily's oxygen machine humming in the corner. They had no idea that in Austin, a man with a once broken heart was about to begin a journey that would change all their lives forever. Chapter 4. The Trailer and the Two Boys. Red dust swirled beneath the Tesla's wheels as Dominic Blackwell drove down the dirt road leading into the trailer park of Willow Creek. The midday June sun blazed overhead, making the air shimmer with rising heat. Cicadas droned relentlessly, blending with the twang of a sad country song drifting from an old pickup nearby. The trailer park came into view, rows of thin aluminum homes, their paint peeling, tin roofs rusted, and small yards overgrown with weeds. A few children darted between trailers, their laughter mingling with the distant barking of dogs. This wasn't Dominic's world, not the glass towers and hipster cafes of Austin, but the crumpled note on a toy car, scribbled in a child's uneven handwriting, had pulled him here. That morning, the private investigator Clara had hired sent in a preliminary report. The toy car had been sold by two twin boys, Max and Milo, who lived with their mother in trailer number 17. The mother's name, Lily Martinez. The name alone had made Dominic's heart stutter. He hadn't waited for a full report. He drove out here without knowing exactly what he hoped to find. A coincidence, an explanation, or simply a way to quiet the ghosts in his head. Dominic pulled up in front of trailer number 17. It was a small, weathered unit with dull aluminum walls and thin curtains sagging behind cracked windows. A broken bicycle lay abandoned near the steps, next to a wilted potted plant. He cut the engine and stepped out, his polished leather shoes pressing into the red dust. Standing still, hands in his pockets, he scanned the house. A soft, mechanical hum, the rhythmic sound of a breathing machine, drifted through the walls, accompanied by the quiet murmur of a child's voice. He stepped closer, not knocking, just near enough to peek through a narrow opening in the curtain. Inside, bathed in dim golden light, the two boys he had met stood beside a woman lying in bed. Milo, the smaller one with the shy smile, gently wiped sweat from her brow with a damp cloth, his movements delicate, as if afraid to wake her. Max, the older boy with curly hair, sat cross-legged on the floor, reading aloud from an old science book, his voice clear but anxious. "This planet has rings, Mom, like a giant hula hoop." The woman, frail, pale, smiled weakly and brushed her fingers through Max's hair. Dominic stood motionless, his breath slowing. The scene before him, their tenderness, their quiet strength, made him feel like an intruder. He had never seen anything like it in his world, where affection was measured in bonuses and quarterly reports. And then he saw it. As Max read, he unconsciously tucked his hair behind his ear, a nervous habit Dominic himself had carried since childhood, one his friends had teased him about. Seeing it now in this unfamiliar boy shook him. He stepped back, ready to return to his car. He wasn't ready to face Lily, not yet if that woman really was her. But then, the trailer door creaked open. Max stepped out, holding a plastic cup of water. He froze when he saw Dominic standing beside the sleek black Tesla. You're the one who bought our car, right?" Max asked, eyes wide with surprise and curiosity. Dominic nodded, trying to stay composed despite the turmoil inside him. "Yes, that was me." He looked at Max, noticing again how the boy's deep brown eyes mirrored Lily's, while the hair-tucking habit was unmistakably his. The resemblance left him unsteady. Max smiled, a genuine, bright smile that lit up his sun-tanned face. "Thank you, sir. Because of you, we paid the electric bill. Mom's doing better now. Thanks to you." He pointed to the trailer where the breathing machine continued its steady rhythm. "She's asleep, but if you want, I can wake her up." "No," Dominic interrupted quickly, his voice rough. He didn't want to see Lily, not yet, not until he understood what was happening. "I was just stopping by." His words felt awkward, nothing like the confident CEO who could address a room full of investors without blinking. Max nodded, but his eyes stayed on Dominic. "Please take good care of the car, okay? We loved it a lot." He hesitated, then added, "I taped a note on it. Did you read it?" Dominic nodded again, a lump rising in his throat. "I read it. It was very special." He wanted to say more, but words failed. Max's message, "Please love it like I did. I need to keep the lights on for my mom," kept echoing in his mind like a bell tolling in a quiet church. "I should get this water to Mom," Max said, glancing at the cup in his hands. "But if you come back, we can show you the Mars book. Mom likes hearing about it." He smiled once more, then slipped back inside, gently closing the door behind him. Dominic stood still, the sun burning hot across his shoulders. He glanced at the Tesla behind him, a symbol of success. But here it felt out of place, an alien vessel in a world built on struggle and love. He thought of Max, that nervous gesture, the familiar eyes, and the fierce devotion the boys had for their mother. A strange feeling stirred inside him, not curiosity, but longing. Longing for a place like this, where love burned brighter than wealth. He walked toward his car, but paused before getting in. He turned to look one last time at trailer number 17. The hum of the oxygen machine and Max's voice reading aloud still drifted through the air. Dominic knew he would return, not just for Lily, but for the two boys who had, without knowing it, begun to thaw a heart he thought was frozen. Inside, Max set the water cup beside his mother and whispered to Milo, "The man who bought our car came by. He's strange, but nice." Milo nodded, clutching his book closer. They had no idea that the man outside, with his Tesla and broken past, was stepping into their lives, carrying both hope and secrets. Chapter 5. Facing Lily Again. The red dust of Willow Creek still clung to Dominic Blackwell's polished leather shoes as he stood in front of trailer number 17. The soft hiss of a breathing machine echoed from inside, blending with the dry wind rustling through brittle roadside weeds. After his brief encounter with Max that morning, Dominic had spent hours driving around the town, trying to organize the storm of emotions inside him. But the image of Max brushing his hair back, those deep brown eyes so much like Lily's, and Milo's timid smile clung to him like a sad country song stuck on repeat. He knew he had to return, not just to confirm Lily Martinez was truly here, but to finally confront the past he'd buried for nearly a decade. Dominic took a deep breath and knocked gently on the flimsy aluminum door. The sound was sharp, brittle, as if it had pierced the quiet stillness of the trailer park. After a moment, the door opened, and there she was. Lily Martinez stood in the doorway, frail and pale, yet her brown eyes were still as sharp as he remembered. She wore an old t-shirt, her black hair pulled into a high ponytail with strands falling messily across her forehead. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Dominic felt like he was 29 again, standing outside a cafe in East Austin, waiting for Lily's smile. But then her eyes shifted, from surprise to shock to a hardness that froze him where he stood. Dominic? Her voice was raspy, as if saying his name physically hurt her. She clutched the doorframe like she needed it to stay upright. Lily, he answered, his voice low but laced with an undercurrent of restrained fury. 9 years. And this is where I find you? His eyes swept over the small trailer, from the peeling walls to the withered plant on the porch. You vanished without a word. You owe me an explanation. Lily's lips tightened. Her eyes flashed with the same fierce spirit he had once loved and feared. I don't owe you anything, she said, voice steady but trembling. You shouldn't be here. Dominic stepped forward, his hands in his pockets to hide how tightly they were clenched. Shouldn't be here? You walked away, Lily. I looked for you all over Austin. Called you, went to your apartment. You thought I'd just forget. You thought I'd let you live like this. He gestured toward the trailer park. Without ever asking why? Lily closed her eyes, taking a deep breath like she was holding back a storm. Dominic, go. I don't want to argue, not now. Not here. She turned to close the door, but Dominic caught it, not forcefully, just enough to stop her. Why, Lily? His voice dropped, a mix of anger and anguish. I deserve to know why. You told me you loved me. Then you disappeared like it was all just a joke. Do you know how much that hurt? Before she could respond, a small voice piped up from inside. Mom! Milo ran to her, wrapping his arms around her leg, his little face full of worry. Max followed, holding his science book, his deep brown eyes locked on Dominic with a mix of curiosity and caution. Mom, who is that? Max asked, stepping in front of Lily like a tiny protector. Lily bent down and placed a hand on each of them, her expression softening but her resolve unshaken. It's okay, boys. Go back inside. I'll talk to this man. She said this man with deliberate distance, as if trying to build a wall between Dominic and her sons. But the moment Max and Milo wrapped their arms around her and called her Mom, Dominic's world stopped. He stared at them, then at Lily, and a wild thought ignited in his mind. Max with that exact same hair gesture he did when nervous. Milo with that shy smile so familiar. They were around 8 years old, the same number of years since Lily had disappeared. His heart pounded. They're your children? He asked, his voice rough. He locked eyes with Lily, searching for a flicker, a sign, anything to confirm the growing suspicion screaming inside him. Lily straightened, holding the boys closer. Yes, they're my sons, Max and Milo. Her words were short, dismissive, but her eyes flicked away, like she was afraid he'd see the truth she was hiding. Anger flared in Dominic, not just from the past, but from the implications of the present. And their father? Where is he? Or did you leave him too, just like you left me? The words came out sharp, cold, and he instantly regretted them when Milo shrank against Lily, his eyes wide with fear. "That's enough, Dominic," Lily snapped, her voice cracking from emotion. "You don't know anything. You don't belong here. We're doing fine without you." She ushered the boys inside, then turned back to face him, her eyes blazing. "Leave, and don't come back." Dominic stood frozen, his breath heavy. He wanted to scream, to tear down the wall between them, but her eyes, strong, pained, stopped him. He glanced past her and saw Max and Milo in the corner of the room, clutching each other, the science book lying on the floor. The breathing machine still hummed, a reminder of the struggle he had never witnessed. "I'm not leaving until I know the truth," Dominic said, his voice low but unwavering. "Maybe not today, but I'll find out, Lily. I deserve that much." Lily didn't answer. She closed the door. The click of the lock echoed like a final word. Dominic stood there, the hot sun beating down on his shoulders. He looked at the Tesla parked beside him, a symbol of the life he had built. But here, it felt foreign, meaningless. He thought of Max and Milo, of how they shielded their mother, and of Lily's eyes, eyes that had once been his whole world. He turned and walked back to the car, but his mind was reeling. If Max and Milo were Lily's sons, and if they were truly 8 years old, then could they be his? He shook the thought away, but it clung to him. Deep down, he knew he couldn't walk away. Not out of anger, but because of something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Inside the trailer, Lily sat down and pulled Max and Milo into her arms, her tears silent but steady. "I'm okay, babies," she whispered, even as her heart weighed heavy. She knew Dominic wouldn't stop, and the secret she had kept for 9 years was beginning to unravel, like the red dust spinning in the wind. Still following the story? If this story found you outside of Soul Stories, we invite you home, to where every touching tale begins with truth, hope, and heart. Chapter 6. The Truth Speaks. The sky above Willow Creek burned orange as sunset bled across the horizon, casting a fiery hue over the trailer homes and dusty roadways of the impoverished neighborhood. Dominic Blackwell sat gripping the steering wheel of his Tesla, even though the engine had been off for a while. 3 days had passed since the tense confrontation with Lily, yet her words, "You don't need to be here, we manage on our own," still echoed in his mind. But the way Max brushed his hair back, Milo's timid smile, so much like Lily's, haunted him like a sad country song stuck in his head. He needed the truth, not guesses, not maybes. With a deep breath, Dominic stepped out of the car. The cicadas were quieter in the evening, giving way to the soft hum of the breathing machine inside trailer number 17. He knocked on the door, gentle but determined. This time Lily opened it faster, as if she'd been expecting him. She looked as worn as before, in a faded t-shirt, eyes sharp but guarded. "Dominic," she said coldly, "I told you not to come back." "I need to talk to you," he replied, voice calm but insistent. "Just 5 minutes, Lily. If you still want me gone after that, I'll leave." He glanced past her and saw Max and Milo sitting on the floor, playing with an old box of building blocks. They looked up curiously but said nothing. Lily hesitated, then gave a reluctant nod. "Outside," she said, stepping out and closing the door behind her to shield the boys from the conversation. They stood in the glow of the setting sun, a careful distance apart, as if an invisible wall stood between them. Dominic got straight to the point. "Max and Milo, how old are they?" He stared into her eyes, searching for a crack in her resolve. Lily clenched her fists, looking away. 8, she answered softly but firmly. 8, Dominic repeated, his heart thundering. "And you left Austin 9 years ago. Lily, don't lie to me. They're mine, aren't they?" His voice broke, equal parts hope and fury. Lily shut her eyes and took a shaky breath. When she opened them, they were ice. "You don't have the right to ask me that, not after all these years." "No right?" Dominic stepped closer, his voice rising. "You disappeared, Lily. You let me believe you betrayed me. You left me with nothing but silence. And now I see 2 boys, with your eyes and my habits, living in—" He gestured toward the trailer. "This place. I do have the right to know the truth." Lily turned away, hugging herself tightly. "The truth won't change anything, Dominic. Go, let us be." But Dominic wasn't backing down. "I'm asking for a DNA test," he said, voice low but resolute. "Not to force you into anything, but I need to know. If they're mine, I want to take responsibility. If they're not, I'll walk away like you want." Lily looked at him, her expression wavering between anger and fear. "A DNA test?" She gave a bitter laugh, though there was no humor in it. "You think I'll let you come into their lives just to satisfy your curiosity?" "It's not curiosity," Dominic replied, voice softening. "Lily, when I look at Max, I see myself. When I look at Milo, I see you. If they're my sons, I've already lost 8 years. I don't want to lose another day." Silence hung between them. Finally, Lily gave a weary nod. "Fine, but only if you say nothing to Max and Milo until we know for sure. They don't need more confusion in their lives." Dominic agreed. He arranged a DNA test through a private lab in Austin, and the next day a nurse arrived quietly at the trailer. She collected samples from Max, Milo, and Dominic, while Lily stood protectively by her sons. 2 days later, Dominic opened the PDF file in his Westlake Hills mansion, hands trembling as he read the line. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. Max and Milo were his sons. He drove to Willow Creek immediately, heart heavy with the weight of confirmation. When Lily opened the door, she already knew. She led him to the porch again, her eyes no longer filled with rage but a tired resignation. "They're your sons," she said before he could ask. "I didn't need a piece of paper to tell me that." "Why, Lily?" Dominic's voice cracked with anguish. "Why didn't you tell me? You let me live all these years not knowing I had children. You let them grow up in poverty. Why?" Lily sat down on the steps, staring out at the dusty road. "When I found out I was pregnant, I planned to tell you," she said quietly. "I even practiced in front of the mirror. Dominic, we're having a baby. But then I saw that article online, the one claiming you were engaged to a wealthy investor's daughter, that it was the reason your company secured funding." She paused as tears slid down her cheeks. "I thought you'd chosen another life, one without me." "That was a lie," Dominic nearly shouted. "A stupid media rumor. I was never engaged. I loved you, Lily. You were everything to me." She wiped her face, her voice steadier. "I didn't know that. I was just a barista, Dominic. You were rising fast. Money, parties, million-dollar deals. I was afraid we'd be a burden. So I left. I came here. I started over. And I promised I'd protect Max and Milo, no matter what it cost me." Dominic sank beside her, knees in the red dirt. "You were wrong," he said, his voice hoarse. "You took away my chance to be their father. You made me live with the pain of thinking you'd betrayed me, and you let our kids grow up without me." Lily looked at him, regret deep in her gaze but still unbroken. "I did what I thought was right for them, and I don't regret it. Max and Milo, they're my whole world." Dominic lowered his head, torn between grief and fury. He thought of all he had missed, their first steps, their first words, the nights they needed him. But as he looked at Lily, he also saw her strength, the sacrifice, the silence. "I don't know how to forgive you," he whispered, "but I want to be part of their lives. I want to make this right." Lily didn't answer. She stood and walked back inside, leaving Dominic in the fading light. Inside, Max and Milo giggled over their building blocks, unaware that the truth had just been spoken aloud. Chapter 7, The Awkward Father. The late afternoon sun cast a soft golden light over Willow Creek, tinting the trailer park in hues of honey and bronze. The sky stretched wide and blue, streaked with thin white clouds, as the sun slowly dipped behind the low hills. At trailer number 17, only the gentle hiss of Lily Martinez's oxygen machine and the occasional laughter of Max and Milo in the backyard broke the stillness. Dominic Blackwell stood beside his polished black Tesla, a brown paper bag in hand containing a plastic chess set he'd bought in Austin. Determined but undeniably nervous, he stared at the trailer door. It had been a week since the DNA test confirmed Max and Milo were his sons, and the painful conversation with Lily still played on loop in his mind. A mix of heartbreak for the years lost, fury over her silence, and above all, a yearning to be a father. Lily, though reluctant, had agreed to let Dominic spend time with the boys, on one condition: he wouldn't tell them the truth until she was ready. They need time, she had said, her gaze firm but weary. And so do you. Dominic had agreed, but every time he saw Max brushing his hair back in that identical nervous gesture, or Milo smiling shyly like Lily once did, his heart was pulled towards something he'd never known. Love not measured by contracts or profits, but by simple, fleeting moments. Today he was taking them out for Texas-style BBQ at Rusty's, a local joint on the edge of town. He knocked gently. Max opened the door, brown eyes lighting up when he saw him. "You came again?" the boy asked, curious but guarded. Behind him, Milo held an old science book, peeking out at Dominic like he was a familiar stranger. "Yeah," Dominic smiled. "I thought we could go eat some BBQ, ribs, potatoes, baked beans. Your mom said it's okay." He looked past the boys to see Lily in the corner, arms crossed. Her eyes were cautious but not cold. She gave a small nod, and after a silent exchange between the boys, they agreed. Rusty's smelled of smoke and meat, the walls lined with faded country music posters. Dominic chose a wooden table near the window overlooking a patch of dry grass. Max and Milo sat across from him, sipping sodas, their eyes widening when a tray of ribs, mashed potatoes, and baked beans arrived. "Do you eat this stuff in Austin?" Milo asked shyly. "Not often," Dominic chuckled, easing into the moment. "But I heard this place has the best ribs in the county." He tried asking about school, about Milo's book, about Max's favorite planet, but the answers were short, polite, distant. They still called him Sir or Mr., never anything closer. Max eventually warmed up, talking excitedly about a Mars project at school. But when Dominic asked about Lily, he went quiet, eyes drifting down to his plate. After the meal, Dominic took them to a small park nearby, an old basketball court, a few benches, and brittle patches of grass. He pulled out the chess set, hoping to bridge the gap. "Chess is all about strategy," he explained as he set up the board. "Just like how you two take care of your mom. You always have to think a few steps ahead." Max listened, curious and focused. Milo quickly lost interest and wandered off to find a deflated basketball in the weeds. Dominic tried to stay patient, but he could feel the invisible wall between him and the boys. They didn't know he was their father, and he didn't know how to be one. He'd led board meetings with hundreds of employees, but sitting across from two 8-year-olds, he felt like a man learning to walk again. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the court, Max and Milo began tossing the basketball. Max ran to take a shot but slipped on a cracked patch and fell hard. Dominic sprang up and rushed over before Max could cry. "Are you okay?" he asked, kneeling beside him, checking a scrape on his knee. Max bit his lip, trying not to cry. I'm fine," he said, his voice shaking. Dominic pulled a tissue from his pocket and gently dabbed at the scrape. A strange feeling washed over him, an instinct to protect he hadn't known he possessed. Milo ran up, eyes wide, but Max waved him off. "It's nothing, Milo, just a scratch." Dominic sat beside Max, unsure what to say. Then, without warning, Max looked up at him, brown eyes glowing under the last light of day. "You don't have to try to be our dad, you know," he said, his voice soft but steady. "Mom says our dad was a good man. That's enough. You helped Mom, and we're thankful." Max's words pierced him, painful but warm. Dominic swallowed hard, hiding the lump in his throat. "Your mom said that?" he asked hoarsely. Max nodded. "She said he's far away, but she doesn't hate him. She just wants us to live well. She said that would make him happy." Then Max from his ear, just like Dominic always did, and his heart clenched. Back at the trailer, Lily stood by the window, watching from a distance. She could hear her son's laughter as they played, but her heart felt heavy. When Dominic brought them home, she stepped onto the porch, her eyes softer now, though lined with guilt. "Thank you for taking them out," she said. Then after a pause, "Dominic, I owe you an apology." Dominic stopped, surprised. "An apology?" he repeated, his voice low. Lily nodded, hands gripping the hem of her shirt. "I believed that article about your engagement. I thought you'd chosen a different life. I didn't want to stand in your way." She looked up, eyes shining. "I was wrong. I let fear decide for me. And every day I wonder, if I hadn't left, would they have warm beds? Would they eat better? Would they fall asleep without the sound of a breathing machine? She turned away, voice breaking. I apologize to them every night for letting them grow up in this trailer, for giving them worry instead of lullabies. And I grieve for myself too, Dominic, because I thought leaving was how I loved you. She wiped her tears, but they kept falling. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know I regret it, more than anything. Dominic stood there overwhelmed. He wanted to be angry, but all he saw was the same woman he had once adored, now tired and broken. Lily, I lost time too, he said, voice thick. But we still have some left. I don't want to fix the past. I want to help you build a future. For them. Lily said nothing, but this time her eyes didn't push him away. Max and Milo ran up, wrapping their arms around her, excitedly recounting the BBQ and the broken-down basketball court. Dominic watched them, realizing that love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect words. It was this: sitting on a cracked court, cleaning a skinned knee, hearing the quiet truth from a child's heart. I'll try, Max, Dominic said as the boy looked up at him. Not to be the perfect dad, just to be here, with you two. Max nodded, this time not backing away. As Dominic climbed into his Tesla, he looked back at the trailer bathed in warm yellow light, and for the first time in years, he felt like he belonged somewhere. Chapter 8, Rumors and the Power of Community. Willow Creek awoke to a golden Saturday morning, the early summer sun illuminating the trailer park's peeling aluminum walls and overgrown lawns. Inside trailer number 17, the steady rhythm of Lily Martinez's oxygen machine continued its quiet hum. But outside, the air in town carried a different kind of tension, thicker than heat and heavier than dust. A rumor had swept through the community like a Texas windstorm, sparked by an online tabloid headline: Austin billionaire deceived by ex, love child hidden for fortune. Vanessa, Dominic Blackwell's ex-wife, had paid to have the piece published, spinning a story that Lily had hidden Max and Milo to extort money. Though the article offered no real proof, it spread like wildfire, turning curious glances into whispers and whispers into cold shoulders. At the grocery store, at the gas station, and even on the church steps, Lily's name was on lips for all the wrong reasons. Back in Austin, Dominic sat in his office, his expression dark as he stared at the article on his laptop. He knew Vanessa, vindictive after their divorce, had orchestrated this mess out of spite, hoping to ruin any chance he had at rebuilding his life. But what infuriated him most wasn't the false accusation. It was how they portrayed Lily, a struggling, single mother labeled a gold digger in the eyes of her own town. He thought of Max and Milo, of their bright, anxious eyes, and of Lily, who had sacrificed everything for them. She didn't deserve this, not alone. Dominic picked up the phone. Clara, organize a charity event in Willow Creek, he ordered. A BBQ festival, fundraiser for the trailer park, fix the electricity, plumbing, whatever they need. I want it to happen this weekend. Clara, though surprised, got to work, rallying sponsors and coordinating with Rusty's BBQ for food and supplies. By Saturday, Willow Creek looked more alive than it had in years. The old basketball court had been transformed into a festival ground, with long wooden tables covered in red and white checkered cloths, smokers puffing out the scent of sizzling ribs, and a makeshift stage hosting a local country band. The smell of brisket, baked beans, and cornbread floated through the air, drawing crowds from across town, children darting between tables, old folks chatting on folding chairs. A large sign read, Willow Creek Together, Mobile Park Renovation Fund. Lily arrived with Max and Milo in tow, hesitant. She wore a clean but faded t-shirt and held their hands tighter as they approached the crowd. Some greeted her kindly as usual, but others whispered, glancing sideways. Is she really hiding the billionaire's kids? A neighbor muttered. Max, perceptive beyond his years, squeezed her hand. Mom, what are they saying about us? Lily forced a smile and brushed his curls back. Just gossip, sweetheart. Ignore it. Then Dominic appeared, not in a suit, but in a simple blue shirt and jeans, blending into the crowd. He stepped onto the small stage, took the microphone, and scanned the faces watching him. Thank you all for coming today, he began, voice calm and strong. Willow Creek is a place where people take care of each other. That's why we're here, to make life better for every family in the trailer park. Applause followed, but the tension remained. The whispers hadn't stopped. Dominic took a breath, eyes searching until they landed on Lily, standing at the edge of the crowd with her boys, her arms around them, her gaze wary. I want to talk about someone, Dominic continued. Lily Martinez. She's been hurt by cruel rumors, called a liar. But I know the truth. His voice faltered for a second, then deepened. She's never asked me for a dime. She's raised two incredible boys, Max and Milo, by herself under the hardest circumstances. If anyone's owed anything, it's me. I owe them for the years I wasn't there. Silence fell over the crowd. Even the crackle of the BBQ fire seemed to pause. Lily lowered her head, silent tears falling. Max and Milo clung to her sides, too young to grasp it all, but old enough to feel the truth in Dominic's voice. This event isn't just a party, Dominic said. It's a message. That Willow Creek doesn't let rumors tear us apart. That Lily is part of this community, and she deserves respect for the sacrifices she's made. Applause broke the silence, tentative at first, then growing stronger. Mrs. Jenkins, the grocery clerk, stepped forward and wrapped Lily in a hug. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I shouldn't have believed the talk. Others followed, bringing cornbread and lemonade, welcoming Lily and the boys to the gathering with warmth. An elderly man who had once eyed Lily with suspicion gave Max a silver commemorative coin. You're a good kid, he said. Your mama's too. The festival carried on with music and laughter. Dominic stepped down from the stage and approached Lily. I hope this helped, he said quietly. I just didn't want you or the kids to face this alone. Lily wiped her eyes, her gaze softer now. Thank you, Dominic, not just for today, for standing up for us. I was wrong to hide them from you, but I won't let lies hurt them again. At that moment, Max and Milo ran up, cornbread in hand. Come play ring toss with us, Mr. Dominic. Milo beamed, smiling at him freely for the first time. Dominic laughed, letting them drag him off, a warm glow building in his chest. By evening, the fundraiser had raised enough to restore power and plumbing to every home in the trailer park. The once divided community sat shoulder to shoulder around BBQ tables, swapping stories and laughter. Lily watched Max and Milo playing under the string lights, a weight lifted from her chest. She still carried regret, but now it had room to coexist with peace. From across the lawn, Dominic watched them too, knowing his journey into fatherhood was only beginning. But this time, he wouldn't be walking it alone. This time, he had a family and a whole community behind him. Chapter 9. The Father Who Stepped Back. The soft light of late summer bathed Willow Creek, casting a warm glow on the familiar rows of trailer homes and red dirt roads. Inside trailer number 17, the steady hum of Lily Martinez's oxygen machine continued as always, but today the air felt different, lighter, tinged with the quiet hope left behind by the community BBQ. The town had changed. People now greeted Lily with smiles instead of side eyes, and the donations had helped restore electricity to the trailer park. Dominic Blackwell, the man who had quietly ignited that change, pulled up in his Tesla, heart steady but more patient now. He was learning that fatherhood didn't always mean taking the lead. Today he had come with a proposal. He wanted Lily, Max, and Milo to move to his Westlake Hills estate in Austin, a spacious house with airy bedrooms, green gardens, and no more sleep disturbed by mechanical breathing. He imagined Max and Milo chasing each other across the lawn while Lily rested, free from bills and burden. But when he knocked on the door and made the offer, Lily's eyes hardened. Dressed in a clean but worn t-shirt, she stood tall, her arms folded as if protecting herself. No, Dominic, she said, her voice calm but firm. Thank you, but we can't move. I need to stand on my own. I want to open a small pecan bakery. That's been my dream since I left Austin. Max and Milo need to see their mom strong, not living on someone else's generosity. Dominic was surprised, but the fire in her eyes reminded him of the woman he had once fallen in love with, the one who used to slip him handwritten notes of encouragement in a cafe in East Austin. I understand, he said softly, but if you ever need anything, I'm here. For you. For the boys. Lily nodded, her eyes gentler now. I know, Dominic, and I'm grateful. She turned back inside, leaving him in the sunlight, contemplating how to support her without stepping over her boundaries. In the following weeks, Dominic acted quietly. He contacted a local real estate agency and rented a small storefront near Mrs. Jenkins's grocery shop, a worn-down space with big front windows, perfect for a bakery. He had it stocked with commercial ovens, mixers, and pecan pie ingredients, all anonymously donated. When Clara, his assistant, asked why he wouldn't tell Lily, Dominic said, "She wants independence. I'm not here to carry her. I'm just helping her take the first step." Lily received the keys from Mrs. Jenkins, along with a note from an anonymous donor. She suspected Dominic, of course, but when she saw the new ovens and shelves full of flour and sugar, she didn't send them back. She got to work. Soon the scent of sweet, buttery pecan pies wafted through town. Max and Milo helped wipe down tables and label jam jars. Lily smiled more, her hands busy, her heart steadier. "Mom makes the best pies in the world," Milo announced one afternoon, crumbs clinging to his lips. Dominic visited often, bringing science books for Milo or a new basketball for Max. The boys slowly warmed to him, laughing, playing, still calling him Sir or Mister. He respected Lily's condition and never said more, even as every brush of Max's hair or Milo's shy grin twisted his heart. One afternoon, Dominic took the boys to the old basketball court where the BBQ had been held. Max rode a rickety bike around the court while Milo tried to keep up on foot. Dominic sat on a bench, watching them play with a bittersweet smile. He remembered Lily's words. They need to see their mother strong. And he realized being a father wasn't about pulling them into his world, but showing up for theirs. Suddenly, Milo screamed. Dominic looked up. Milo had lost control of his bike, which skidded downhill toward a narrow dirt path and a brittle tree. Without thinking, Dominic sprinted forward, leaping the low fence and yanked Milo off the bike just before it crashed. The boy collapsed in his arms, panting, eyes wide in terror. "Milo, are you okay?" Max shouted, rushing over. Dominic held Milo close, checking for injuries. "He's okay," he said, brushing dust from the boy's scraped elbow. "Just a scratch." He gently cleaned the wound with tissues from his pocket. Milo, still trembling, clung to him and whispered, "Thank you, sir." The word was quiet, but it hit like thunder. Max, standing nearby, stared at Dominic with a strange look, then said softly, "Thank you too, sir. I wish you were our dad." Dominic's throat tightened, his eyes burning. He wrapped both boys in his arms, saying nothing, just feeling their warmth, their weight, their trust. "I'm here," he whispered, voice raw. "Always." He didn't know if the boys had guessed the truth from town gossip or if it was just the aftershock of a close call, but this moment he knew was real. That evening, as he dropped them off, Dominic told Lily what happened, careful to leave out the word dad out of respect. She stood in the bakery, the air filled with the scent of pecan pie, her face soft with gratitude. "Thank you, Dominic. Not just for today, but for giving me this chance," she said, nodding toward the oven. "I know it was you." Dominic smiled and shook his head. "Wasn't me. Just someone who wants to see you happy." He turned and walked away, knowing that to truly support Lily meant stepping back, letting her walk on her own. That night in the trailer, Max and Milo whispered to each other as a science book lay open between them. "I think Mr. Dominic really is our dad," Milo said. Max nodded, brushing hair from his eyes. "Maybe, but Mom will tell us when she's ready." They fell asleep to the rhythm of Lily's breathing machine, still humming, but somehow softer now. And in Austin, Dominic stood on his balcony overlooking Lake Travis, thinking of those two small voices saying Dad. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel like just a CEO. He felt like a father. You're watching Soul Stories, exclusive to our channel. If you're still with us, drop a comment. We read and cherish them all. Subscribe to support more heartfelt original stories. Thanks for being part of the Soul Stories family. Chapter 10. The Heart is the Gift. Winter in Willow Creek wasn't bone-chilling like up north, but the light breeze was enough to make the Christmas lights strung along the metal roofs of old trailer homes jingle softly. The small town quietly wrapped itself in a glow of warmth and hope. On the elementary school grounds, family fun night shone bright with golden lights, pine garlands, and children's laughter echoing through the December mist. Dominic Blackwell wasn't wearing a suit tonight. Dressed in a simple blue shirt, he clutched a handmade card that read in messy handwriting, "Uncle Dominic, come to family fun night. We have a surprise." It was from Max and Milo, and his heart pounded. He didn't know what to expect, but something inside told him this night would change everything. Lily, in a red sweater, helped kids glue paper stars at the craft table. Her cheeks were pink from the cold, and though her eyes held a trace of worry, her health had clearly improved. The bakery and the dreams that came with it had helped. Max and Milo darted around in oversized button-down shirts, their eyes glowing like Christmas lights. The audience settled as Miss Thompson, Max's homeroom teacher, took the stage. "Family Fun Night is a time for parents and children to create memories together," she said. "And this year, we give special thanks to Mr. Dominic Blackwell, who not only sponsored our community BBQ, but helped repair the trailer park homes for struggling families." Applause erupted. Dominic stepped back modestly, but Lily's steady gaze calmed him. Tonight wasn't just about the community, it was about truth. Ms. Thompson called Max and Milo up to the stage. The boys walked out hand in hand, Milo clutching his science book like a charm. Max spoke first, his voice trembling but clear. "We want to tell a story." He took a deep breath and continued. "This summer, we sold our toy car because Mom was sick and needed a breathing machine. We thought it was just a small thing, but it helped our dad find us." Milo took over, his voice small but steady. "Dad came back. He helped Mom. He helped our town. He saved me when I crashed my bike. He didn't give up, even when we kept calling him Uncle." He looked up at Dominic, wide-eyed and teary. "Today, we're not selling anything. We want to give Dad our hearts." Together, they held up a sheet of paper with a red heart drawn on it, scribbled words inside, "Thank you, Dad, for finding us." Silence fell, and then it burst. Applause, whistles, cheers filled the schoolyard. Dominic walked up to the stage, tears streaming down his face, unashamed. He pulled Max and Milo into a tight hug, his voice choked. "Thank you, boys. I love you." At the craft table, Lily covered her mouth as tears ran down her cheeks. Years of hiding, of worrying Dominic wasn't ready, melted away in that single moment, hearing her boys call him Dad with full hearts. 9 years of quiet ache dissolved on this winter night. Ms. Thompson stepped forward, her voice full of emotion. "Dominic isn't just a father. He's a symbol of hope, for Lily, for these boys, and for Willow Creek." After that night, everything changed in town. A week later, the Christmas festival turned the town square into a colorful wonderland. String lights, a tall pine tree, Lily's bakery booth selling pecan pies, barbecue stands, and country music in the air. Dominic and Lily worked side by side arranging baked goods, their hands occasionally brushed, pulling away with shy glances. Max and Milo played ring toss with friends, laughter echoing across the square. Under the shimmering lights, Lily looked at Dominic. 9 years ago, I left because I thought it was best for you, but the boys brought us back together." She clutched her tray of pies, hesitant. "If you're willing, maybe we could start over." Dominic didn't answer right away. He gently took her hand, eyes warm like Christmas firelight. "I want that, Lily, for you, for the boys." Jingle bells filled the air as Max and Milo pulled them into the dance circle. Dominic laughed, truly laughed, for the first time in years, holding Lily's hand and feeling whole. That night in their cozy little bakery, the whole family baked together. Christmas lights glowed through the window. Max and Milo played with flour, Dominic knocked over a jar of jam, and Lily laughed like she once did long ago. "Mom makes the best pies," Milo shouted. "And Dad makes the biggest mess," Max teased, sending the room into fits of laughter. Dominic watched it all, a cramped room, but hearts wide open. He thought about the old toy car, the BBQ, the times they called him Uncle instead of Dad. Now his heart was no longer empty. Willow Creek had learned to forgive, and Dominic Blackwell, the man who once lost everything, had finally found the greatest gift of all, a family. Sometimes just one seemingly small act, like two children selling their old toy car to help their mother, can be powerful enough to light up not just a home, but a heart that had once gone cold. Because when integrity is placed above all else, and love is given unconditionally, even the deepest wounds can begin to heal. And above all, forgiveness isn't just a gift to oneself. It's a bridge between lost souls, making room for the impossible to become a miracle.